Should I stop the recording? Or should I stop the stream or keep going?
Keep going.
Alrighty. YOLO.
YOLO. Hello. This is an offshoot of the Flophouse on Rumble. Rumble, the thing the Voldemort to YouTube. Alrighty. So tonight we're gonna do a quick little conversation piece about
Quick.
the TV show the TV show Harley Quinn. Is it worth it? And so we're gonna let Super start with this debate.
Okay. I only watched the first episode, and this was back when I had the mindset of, well, you gotta give it a chance before you say no to it. And, all that stuff, but I've got wiser since then. But basically, from the opening line from Harley Quinn, I could tell basically these words left my mouth when she spoke for the first time in that show. I was like, oh no. Oh no. Gonna be that show.
Yeah. So my thought process, considering the fact I've watched all the way up and have watched Kite Man, hell yeah, I think this is a good show. But is it good for DC? It's a double-edged sword in my opinion, because you can do it is a pure satire show. This show is purely and utterly pure satire. Make no bones about it, make no qualms about it. This shit is satire to the extreme. If you are watching this show to see, like The Dark Knight and a really good show, you're not in the right headspace. But if you're watching a show that makes fun of superheroes and turns them into an everyday thing, and turns their existence into an everyday thing, then this is kind of fun to watch. Especially the second and third season. You got anything else to say there, Night? Superstar.
Basically, it's more superhero deconstruction. And to be honest, I feel like that's all modern writers know how to do with hero material these days. And even the comic people themselves. I mean, when you hear what a lot of these comic writers today say about heroes and villains, they talk about how, oh, it's so much easier and so more liberating to write about villains because it doesn't feel like you have to put them in a box. You can do whatever you basically want with them, where it's like with heroes, you gotta adhere to boxes and rules. I'm like, yeah, it's called morals. Kind of the thing that makes them heroes.
Yeah, like this is the thing with it, okay? I hear people say that this show ruined Harley Quinn. And I'm like, it's a show of pure satire. It's very similar to the show Powerless for those who have not seen that show. And the show Powerless is fun because it is this over the top fun little show. It's not meant to be taken 100% seriously. Like one of the funniest things for the Powerless thing is they make a joke where they have special cage nets that they've designed to stop clown-based supervillains from being created in vads of toxic waste in labs. Our nets prevent one out of nine clown-based supervillains. Like that is a funny joke. That is this little side thing, and that's what this is. Like there are moments in this. Like there's a great moment in the series where they realize that Bruce Wayne is Batman, And the Joker's like, he says, right out of nowhere, it's like, where's my electric car, Bruce? He screams at him. And that's kind of funny. Now, the funny thing about this is, I don't think it's a deconstruction as much as, Soups thinks it is. What I think it is, it's just a pure satire of that genre. And it's kind of over the top satire. And some people are going to like it and some people are going to hate it for that. And that's the absolute truth. Like, this is something, see, the thing about this show is I love how they had the two geeks in there. I might actually get that screenshot for this. And then just the two geeks arguing about how bad this show is. And I'm like, well, you're not. It's meant to be this over the top. Like, come on, Joker is a fucking family man in the fucking show. Like, he has a fucking Mexican family, for fuck's sakes. In later seasons. Like, this isn't just this isn't deconstructing. This is a complete satire. It's meant to poke fun at the fact that these characters have 9-to-5s and they're doing all this side shit as a joke.
I mean, basically, what makes it feel very deconstruction-y is because they're doing this at a time where it's obvious they do not understand their characters.
Well,
Because
that's where I disagree with you there, Soups.
well,
I
it's
think
like I'm telling you, it's like My Adventures with Superman. Like when I heard about that, where it's like basically it's like the title alone being like My Adventures with Superman, where it's like gonna be telling about Lois and her adventures with Superman. Do you know what my reaction to that was? Where it's like, no, you don't need to be doing an offshoot series involving a character that you don't know how to write, Warner Brothers. It's like, give us an iconic Superman first before you go doing all these spin-offy things.
Well, My Adventures of Superman is a little bit different. It's a little, that one is over the top, and that one I do agree. They had no idea how to write that, and it is literally just speed running the Superman story.
And I
Harley
see
Quinn is pure another satire, and satire is deconstruction at its core, but it's turned on its head. Like the idea that the Joker goes back to being a villain, not because of it's just because of him dealing with the bullshit of PTA stuff. The fact that women's rights in that fucking show end up turning out to be a bad thing and a good thing and a bad thing and problematic. It kind of has a level of extremes and it pitches itself off each other. And that's the thing. If you're looking for a serious idea and take to Harley Quinn, I don't think there's ever been one that's been done right. I unfortunately I hate to say it, her character's never been done right, and like I don't think we'll ever see her
we
character
have
done
that
right.
one episode from Batman the Animated Series, Mad Love.
No. I mean modern day. I don't think we're gonna have one in the modern day era.
And I will say it's like that episode where it's like, not a single cuss word or anything like that in there, yet it comes off as more adult than the Harley Quinn show.
Well, the Harley Quinn show is a pure satire comedy. That's the problem. And it spawned Kite Man heck yeah, hell yeah, which is actually really surprisingly good. And like I said, and there's a lot of bullshit in that show. Like they treat Kite Man like shit in Harley Quinn. They really do. And it's funny because he gets his own show afterwards, and his own show is done so well, and they kind of redeem Kite Man in that show. It's kind of fucking funny in some ways. And it's just kind of amusing seeing Harley Quinn. And it does, like I said, it goes all over the place, but it's fun to watch Harley Quinn in a way they treat this. Now, my biggest problem with it is like they cuck Kite Man, but they give him a show later that actually puts him in a braver light and a better light. So I'm kind of like, the question is, was that their idea to begin with, or was there something else going on there? It's shockingly good, although it is garbage at the same time. Like that's the best way to put it. And I know that sounds kind of stupid to put it that way, but that's the truth. It's a good shit. It's a good shitty show. If you get what I'm saying. So what's your retort on that? As I grab something.
I mean, like I said, I mean, you even said where it's like it's deconstruction by way of like satire, but deconstruction nonetheless. And it's like, and like I say, I argue that's the last thing that these characters need right now because that's all we're seeming to get, and it's deconstruction to the point where no one knows how to do these characters anymore. I mean, James Gunn was Superman, and I feel like we're going to get into that later. Like with
Yeah,
what James.
I decided not to talk about the leaks tonight because it wasn't worth doing the leaks. The leaks were going to be problematic one way or another. So I felt to myself the leaks were probably a waste of time because we don't know if the leaks are even real. But as it stands, the leaks, I don't know. Like I said, deconstructionism does not necessarily mean bad, but I can see where you're coming from. I can see where.
I mean, basically, it's like, I mean, you let deconstructionism go so far, then it's like to the point where it's like no one knows who the character is anymore, and then your deconstructions after that are just deconstructions of a deconstruction, and so on and so forth, because everyone's forgotten who the character is now. I mean, Batman. Look at the character of Batman. That character is dead. He's dead in a way that Superman is not, but he is getting there. Where it's like
Well,
they have let so many deconstructions take root of the character, and they've let so many versions, take hold, like not even giving really a lot of space for any of them to breathe or even have any analytical thought over them. And it's like to the point where it's like no one can agree who Batman is anymore. They don't know who Batman is anymore. And that's
well,
and that's how
the comics still can still hold true to Bat, but I would say
I mean,
that
the
we got
comics have not even for a while. I mean, like with Tom King, it's like basically, he really did his dirt on Batman, basically turning the character into his personal therapy session.
yeah.
And it's like to the point where it's like, and it's like the comics, they're basically a dead end because, like, they've had they've done all their stupid things and all their wrong takes with the
Yeah, but
characters.
that's not saying every writer gets Batman wrong. The problem is that this is a character that should have fucking been retired decades ago. The truth is, the
I mean,
fear, the
I don't see
of
it that way. I'm just saying where it's like they've allowed so many deconstructions that no one knows who the character is anymore. I mean, look at Matt Reeves, the Batman. I mean, it's like
no, but look at it as a whole. Like these are characters that should have been retired decades ago. The problem is that they don't. The problem, the fight is creative art versus corporate greed when it comes to comics. At this point, because these characters have a set time limit, they do. All superheroes have a set time limit. There's just a point when you have to move on. And the problem is, even the Bible says you have to put away your childish, put your childish things away. And that's kind of what we're dealing with
I mean,
these characters.
basically, I feel like a lot of people are trying to pull the whole cowboy analogy with it, where it's like going the way of the cowboy, where it's like, it's where it's like
No,
even the Cowboys had their time.
I'm not saying that at all. Well, they have their times in the movies. I think their movie career is over.
Although where it's like, it's like when you look at the history of cowboy movies, like basically if the superhero genre was ever going to go the way of the cowboys, it was never going to be an organic thing. Because when you look at what happened with the cowboy genre, that wasn't an organic thing either. In fact, the Cowboys, like, it suffered the same things that the superheroes are going through, where it's like basically dumb-headed, corporate, like corporate
Well,
mandates.
that's the
Not to mention,
that's the problem with this suit. That's the problem with this. Like I said, it's superheroes don't get to die. Superheroes don't get to be defeated.
I mean, that
Superheroes.
was never. I mean, like I said, that was never really. I never saw that as a problem because it's like if that was a real problem, that would have been a problem like long, long, long before now.
Yeah, but that's the problem. You don't. These aren't the original writers writing these characters anymore.
And for me, it's
These
like
aren't people. See, here's the thing: they don't have the people that want to write it, and they don't have the people that want to write it properly. This is the problem. This is when you put
I
those characters.
I disagree because with these characters, they operate more on mythology, and how mythological storytelling works is that it gets passed down from storyteller to storyteller.
Yes, but this is the problem with that. You're not having storyteller telling the same story of another storyteller. This is not the bardic tale. This is someone taking something and completely shifting it and turning it on its fucking head for the umpteenth fucking time. The truth is, like even now, the new unlimited universe that exists now, it is so different at this point. It's gone. Like the funny thing is, it's super popular because they finally did things that they should have done decades ago. Spider-Man has his wife and kids. You have an X-Men. You brought the X-Men back to being more of a niche thing in the universe. Wolverine is slowly waking up. They're slowly turning Wolverine into something else. Like this is what needs to be. This is how you got to create this. This is how a lot of this should have been. Like the biggest thing with superhero, the best way when you run the superhero stuff, what we all kind of learned is that superheroes work better when they're like when you start adding all this stuff. Like I've kept saying it, you got to keep the universes separate. The second you start adding Captain America into the X-Men universe, it causes issues, and it just causes more and more issues because it doesn't make sense why Captain America would allow fucking MRD to be traveling or Spider-Man doing this. Like, there's got to be this level of if and at. When the ebb and flow shift it, the problem is that needs to end. I don't mean to end as in you stop the Marvel universe. You have these heroes ride off into the sunset, and then you allow these people who want to have these new characters. But the problem is that corporate greed will never allow them to shift.
Well, like I said, it's like
See,
I said, I feel like the problem is a different one. And one of them being, it's like one of the things that how mythological storytelling works is that audience feedback. I mean, when you look at when Superman first began in 1938, like he was an aspirational trickster, like different from like the Superman that we would come to know, but the DNA was still there. And over the years, they've added things on, like looked at how the audience feedback, how they responded to certain
yeah,
changes,
but
and they stuck.
that was
And that
building.
and hold on, let me finish here. Let me finish. You're getting ahead of me. So and then and so then they allowed all these feedback to build up until it got to iconic status, and where it's like characters like ebb and flow through the decades, but when a character reaches iconic status, then it's like it's timeless. It speaks through the ages, and then so
Yeah,
when you have to
here's
introduce
what I'm
changes,
saying.
and it's like
Here's what I'm
and when you have to
yeah.
introduce changes, it takes them out of that iconic status, and they no longer resonate.
But
And
that's the problem we have. You have people who have no interest in actually doing the tales that should have existed. Like I
well,
said, the
actually,
big thing
hold on,
they did.
and I was going to finish this out by saying
Yeah.
where it's like, and the problem is, look at all these like creators, they have such disdain for their audience to where it's like the audience no longer gives them feedback
No,
of what they respond to,
I
and
think
so
it's 50-50. I think that's 50-50 though. I think it's not a disdain for their character. I think it's a disdain for the franchise and the society that exists as a whole.
I mean, and this is basically, and this isn't just happening with superheroes. This is happening even with new characters, like like in gaming's entertainment, and whatnot. And this is why people are looking back to the older stuff. I
Yeah,
mean, because it's like I said, they no
but they
longer care about their audience, and it's like if you're not making your stuff for the audience, who are you making it for? The audience decides what sticks around, and
yeah,
what.
exactly. Well, this is why I say, and this is why I say Harley Quinn as it is as a satire works because it works because as much as it's it has its fundamental issues and it has a lot of issues. I'm not going to say Harley Quinn is the greatest show ever, but it's good enough that you could still say it's a decent show. Would I give it? I still think it's low on the ratings because it is woke as shit. Oh, excuse me. It is woke as shit.
I mean, basically, if you want to say like a show by itself is good, I mean it's like I'm not going to dispute that or split hairs about that, but it's basically like the same way with Man of Steel. You could argue that's technically a well made and well technically well done movie,
Mm-hmm.
but as a Superman movie, as a Superman story, it's a totally wrong take for the character
Well,
because
yeah, and that we don't know. We don't know. Like I said, I still think that doing a Superman movie in this modern era, or even doing a DC movie right now, is a bad idea because we don't have anything in the DC universe at this moment that we can honestly say works. Like right now, like James Gunn is trying his damnedest, and I think it's because he loves he loves superhero comics as a whole.
oh
He's
no,
trying.
like I mean, I've said this from day one. James Gunn was the wrong move to hire. Like James Gunn was the wrong person to hire Superman. I mean, when you look at things he said about the character, like he didn't even want to do this at first. He's like, I
Oh,
like this character doesn't interest me and all that. I'm like, okay, good. You admit it. It's not your character. Like, it's not the character that you would like gravitate towards. So, good. But then he's like, but then I found an in. I'm like, oh gosh, no. And then basically talking about how he's going to be conflicted about like his, Earth upbreaking with his Kryptonian heritage. Like, let me stop you right there. Superman Returns already did that, and that's one of the reasons it failed. Man of Steel did that. One of the reasons it failed because it's like people don't real like people are trying to find so hard to make Superman like relatable and angsty and all that, where it's like that's not a character that should be like that's not that's not who the character is. I mean, in terms of being broken up about like Krypton and everything,
mhm.
Krypton is not even a memory for him. It's like he's not conflicted about that at all. I mean, there's like the
Yeah,
issue like from John Byrne's Superman where it's like, he finds out about his Kryptonian heritage and he basically gains all the knowledge of Krypton. It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
yes,
But
I have
like I said it before, the idea of creating these satires is the biggest problem that we have with this, and that's kind of what I like about the satires are a fun situation, but
Although one of the things I hate about satire, where it's like I start out liking some satires, but then as time goes on, how people or creative stupid headedly react to them, I start to hate them. Like the Lego Batman movie. The
yeah,
Lego Batman movie really put it out there that all Batman does is karate chop poor people. Or it's like
yeah, and
where it's like
yeah,
where
but
it's
that
like
was
where I
more of
first
in the
saw it,
past.
it's like where I first saw it, it's like, that's pretty fun. But then it's like people start taking that seriously and then start integrating that into the stories. Like, no, no. It's like, do you people not know what a joke is?
Yeah,
Golly.
see that's where I think that's where I see that's the thing. Harley Quinn as a whole, I have said time and fucking time again. Harley Quinn is not a character that you need to like I keep saying this, and I'll say it over and over and over again. Harley Quinn is a character a lot of people do not fucking seem to understand that she is, in all intents and purposes, a character that shouldn't really exist outside the Joker. The second you take her away from the Joker, she's just a female clown character. You
It's
can,
like
yeah,
trying to make a She-Ra without He-Man.
yeah, exactly. The second you do that, you're taking away a crucial thing of the character. And when you take that, uh, um, you take that in, it never fucking works. And I've said this time and time again, it just doesn't work. So here's the question: how do you fix that scenario?
You got to go back to what works. You
Yeah,
got to go back to like what actually works.
yeah,
But they're not going to do that because, and like I said, this is like a big problem. Like when it comes to corporate overheads, like they try to mandate changes where it's
yeah,
like that was the whole New 52 thing, ignoring
yeah,
the audience and basically trying to mandate all these changes. I mean, Dan
yeah.
DiDio even admits that the old comics sold well, but it's like, I don't care. I want to do my own thing because I'm the artist. Your job as an audience member is to shut up and take what I give you. Like that's
And
basically all these artists
that's
now.
why this has failed. That's why this has fucking failed on so many goddamn fucking levels. Like I've said to multiple people, they keep doing this, and it's going to burn them every fucking time. So here's an idea: don't
And
fucking do that.
oh yeah, I mean, and we all know who Danny O'Neill is, right?
Mhm,
Like very famous Batman writer, and like he was also the one who basically did this whole run on Wonder Woman, where basically took away her powers and basically made her a secret agent type of character. He later admitted that he was wrong to do that. I mean, in his defense, he thought he was coming from a good place, like trying to basically give girls a role model that was more like them, but he had other writers tell him like that this was basically the girl's Superman. So he basically admitted that was the wrong-headed thing to do with the character. I mean, it's like good on him for doing that. And I remember a story that he told, and this was like around when he was doing Death of the Family, like Death
mhm.
in the Family, and when that was being announced that they were going to kill off Robin, that made headline news and everything. And media when the media when it comes to reporting this stuff, they're never responsible. They reported it in a way that it made it seem like that they were killing off the Burt Ward character, Dick Grayson Robin, you know a character that a lot of people grew up with if they grew up with the Adam West Batman TV show. And so he talks about how he was sitting in a diner and he had this Batman pin and all that. One of the diners asked him why he had that, and he said, "Oh, I'm the editor for Batman." And one of the other ones who overheard that is like, "Hey, Chuck, this schmo here's the one that's killing off Robin," and all that. And he
Yeah.
saw all these reactions that he was getting, and that's why he said that he came to this profound conclusion, where it's like, I'm not just a storyteller, I'm not just an editor, I am a caretaker of American folklore. And that's not something to be taken lightly. I mean, people are going to react, positively or negatively to, whatever we do with these characters because these characters are bigger than any of us, you know, and they are going to have these
Well,
kind of
that is,
reactions.
and that's the problem. Like I said, at this point, I actually feel it's actually better not to do that. Now, when it comes to a character like Harley Quinn, she was. Let's be fucking honest. Let's be 120% honest. She's a goddamn fucking Harley Quinn is just something people wanted to flap to. Her original character.
That's why they
Like
keep
I'm
putting her
being
in the
honest.
skimpier and skimpier suits.
Yeah, yeah. Let's be honest. She's a Flapsaurus. She's a Flaposaurus Rex, and she's always kind of been a Flaposaurus Rex. Now, there's stuff that's made her good, and there's stuff that's made her bad. Now, I don't think the Harley Quinn TV show makes it bad. What I do think is this is such an over the top satire that I feel that it doesn't really take away from the character, but it doesn't really help the character either. And so we just have to live on this 50-50 with it. And I think some people really need to step back and go, okay, calm down. This isn't the worst thing that Marvel's done in DC's done in a long fucking time. Like honestly, at this
I
point,
mean, basically for me, it's like, it's not about it being the biggest, like, worst thing that they've done, but all it takes is small concessions. I mean, it's like, with like DC, like they thought they could continue after the Snyderverse. And so, people tried to, accept Aquaman and Shazam, where it's like, in the grand scheme of things, those characters aren't, that big to the grand scheme of things, but it's just small concession after small concession after small concession until you step back and realize all you're doing is making small concessions and in turn, basically just settling. And as a fan, it's like, you don't want to just settle. I mean, and now it's now to the point where it's like all we're doing is settling.
see, that's what
Like
I
that's
don't.
all we're doing.
That's where I don't agree with you there. That's actually where I do not agree with you. I believe there's more to this scenario that I think some people are looking at this way too extreme. And that's the sad truth. I think
I
some
mean, like
people
when it came to like the whole Star Wars thing, where it's like we could have won that, like the fans could have really won that, but the fans became too
well,
eager
no,
to concede.
the normies ruined that. That's the thing. The idea of the boy that that mentality of I want that water. I want that water. I want to have that water cooler conversation.
I mean,
I
when it
want to
comes
be a
to,
part of
I
this
mean, when it
thing.
comes to things, I feel like normies aren't really that big of a problem because, like, I feel like the normies are more or less indifferent to a lot of this stuff. Where it's like
No,
when
they
it's up
don't.
to the fans.
Normies don't notice until it affects them. That's the thing. And
I,
because
I mean,
comic
for me,
books
it's like, like
are go ahead.
I was, I was gonna say, where it's like, it's up to the fans to really hold the line. And the problem that I
No,
see
no,
with a lot of
that
fans,
doesn't
especially
matter.
online,
A good
is
example of
that
this. A good example of this. Let's be honest. A good example of this. Normie, like let me be perfectly fucking honest with you. A good example of this shit is always going to be the same fucking thing over and over and over again. We are not in a scenario where we have anything normal you want to add when it comes to that. The normie situation is we could stop watching, and there's been evidence of that. The fandoms don't watch this shit anymore, so the fandom does not care. And if the fandom don't give two fucks, and this is still fucking failing, and it still makes like a good example of this, we haven't seen it until the new Snow White. Have we finally, finally seen Disney take a fucking big L?
I mean, and Snow White, that's something that I'm
And
wanting to
now
talk
I
about.
hear
Like,
people. Now I hear people watching. They're gonna watch the Lilo and Stitch because oh, it looks really good. And I'm like, no. The idea is you don't watch that. See, that's the thing. But the normies are gonna watch that because they're going to watch that.
I mean, when it comes to like the whole Snow White thing, that could have been prevented if fans had actually like not watched the Barbie movie and actually like try to do reviews of it, like defend it and all that. Like I remember like Michael Knowles like trying to defend that and all that. I'm like,
Well, okay,
it got to like I mean it's like it got to the point. Hold on, let me
What
finish.
the
Let me
heck does
finish.
the Barbie
Hold on, let me
movie have to
finish.
do with?
I let you
Oh,
finish. Let me finish.
oh, okay. No, I'm just asking a question because you're kind of going off on a tangent here with the Barbie
But
movie. What's the Barbie movie have to do with it?
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
And it's like it's like and Michael knows like reviewing and seeing that film. It's like I lost a lot of respect for him, but it's like I see a lot of these fans who are all like hold the line, but it's like they're going to see this movie to review bash it and whatnot, and it's like, do you guys not learn anything? This is how these people succeed. I mean, because it's like, they don't care about your views. All they care about is your money. And if you're sitting down to watch the message that they're preaching. And, but people didn't listen to that. And so the writer, Greta Thunberg, you know, no wonder that she got promoted to Snow White. And a lot of people who are complaining about Snow White, I'm like, basically, it's like, I agree with the tweet that came out where it's like, to everyone who watched the Barbie movie freely and is now complaining about her writing Snow White, you have no right to complain because you did this. You said yes with your money, and now she moved up.
Yeah, but here's the thing I gotta say with that. It's not just that caused the Snow White scenario to kick off, man. Like, if it was just that, dude, we wouldn't be having an issue. What
Oh,
I'm
it's not
saying,
just that. Like, there's
I
many more
know, but
examples of this kind of stuff.
yeah, but what I'm saying is when I'm talking about this, the same with the satire. Snow White is always kind of problematic when it comes to the silliness of like, and again, we're off topic now, and I'm like I said, I'm going to rein it back into the topic at hand. This this stuff had so much bullshit that we kind of kick off, and like I honestly after the Ziegler stuff, after everything else that happened with that, this was not going to survive. But this is the first time we've seen, and it wasn't just people review bombing that were making the money for this for Barbie. Okay, Barbie had normies go to watch it, and why did they go to watch it? Oh, because it's the Barbie movie. I can take my kids to go watch the Barbie movie, and that's the normies. That isn't just like the AB. When I say like I talk about the normies a lot, and I know I bite on those fuckers all the time. But the truth is, I don't think like when I say normie, I'm talking about the people who just don't give a fuck and really don't pay attention to what's happening. They've just made their decision.
Kind of
And
like how with James Gunn's Superman movie, it's like there are fans who have basically decided to love it no matter what.
yeah, and like I said, people are going to do this. Oh, it's a Superman movie. I could take my kids to the Superman movie.
Oh, I
Or
remember where, like, my friend Greg, he went to the
Mhm.
movie to, like, to see the Batman, and when he went to go use the restroom, like he witnessed like a family, like like a mother with her two kids, like asking for refunds for that because it's like, yeah, that is way too violent. I mean, it's Batman. That it shouldn't be like that.
yeah, but that's what I'm saying though. It's this mentality that it's the big thing. Now with the Harley Quinn thing, that is a fan base thing. Normies don't give a fuck about Harley Quinn. That is the difference between that. Because it's such a satire, most normies give it a pass. But it's still fun enough and it still has enough energy and comedy to it. It's good on that level. So that's been the big issue. So I don't know if I've changed your mind on the whole Harley Quinn thing. I don't think I have. And
Nah, I mean, like I said,
having
for the
watched
little
it,
bit I've seen of it, it's just like, yeah, it's not my. It really is not my thing.
yeah. Again, if you don't like a movie like like here's how I look at it. If you can't sit down and enjoy the movie Airplane, don't watch Harley Quinn. If you
Yeah,
can't sit down and
basically, if watching the movie on an airplane makes you want to walk out, yeah, don't
no,
watch
the
it.
movie Airplane, you know,
Oh, I thought you were.
loading and
I thought you
unloading.
were
It's
asking. I thought you were talking about watching the movie on an airplane. Like, if you can't watch the movie on an airplane, don't do it.
yeah. No. I'm talking about loading and unloading is another thing. I know what this is about. You want me to have an abortion? And then it's like, hey Timmy, have you ever seen a Turkish prison? Have you ever watched a movie with gladiators? Hey Timmy, have you ever, and that's what I'm talking about. Don't call me Shirley. Um, if you don't like stuff like that, or if you can't sit down and watch We Are the Spartans and not get a giggle, don't watch Harley Quinn. Don't watch Sonic Boom. Another good satire show that is pure satire in every fucking way is the TV show Sonic Boom.
Kind of
It's
like Teen
amazing.
Titans Go.
No, Go is insulting. Sonic Boom and Harley Quinn is actually fun. Like
I just don't see it.
Lion O is awful. Like the Thundercats O is horrendous. Like these are, see, there's a difference between picking on something and like literally treating it like shit versus satire. And my best example of this is Teen Titans Go. If you look at the original Teen Titans, it was fun, it was good, it's still to this day actually, it's a timeless show. Like you could still
Oh, yeah.
watch it and it's still good.
I also hate it, like with the superhero movies nowadays. They either feel like they either have to be like ha ha comedies, or basically uber like edgy seriousness, where it's like, no, just do
Yeah.
it straightforward. Just be
Yeah,
straightforward,
exactly.
fun but straightforward.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just kind of how it works. But yeah, that's the best way to put it. And it's like there's a difference between Go. Go is like, there is funny moments in Go. There are some episodes that are actually watchable in Teen Titans Go. And there are some hysterically fuck you moments. But that is not only picking on the original Teen Titans show, that is insulting the original Teen Titans show. Like to this day, one of the funniest fucking moments is there's an episode where they basically talk about taxes. The entire show is about taxes. Why the fuck is a kid going to watch a show about taxes? Like, that's
Hey, why
stupid.
did Batwoman get 2 seasons? The world may never know.
No, but that's stupid. That is absolutely stupid. And then there's that moment where they're like, well, and like one of my favorite moments is they have this scene where they talk about Slade and Slade's back. And then they leave and they come back and go, man, that was so great. And I even got my kiss that Robin and Starfire got their kiss. And I'm like, that is so insulting to that original show. So it's just fucking shit in a lot of ways, and it's pure shit. But there are funny moments in the show that's just absolutely stupid, and it's so disgusting in some ways. Like another good example of this is the modern day Powerpuff Girls versus the original Powerpuff Girls. The original Powerpuff Girls is surprisingly a solid show. The new Powerpuff Girls one was so insulting and sexualized fucking minors. Like, it's funny. They took out all this stuff that apparently was, oh, we're taking out a bunch of stuff. We're taking out like the honey penny chick, the redhead. We're taking her out. She's too sexualized. She's such a sexualized character. Then they have the fucking Powerpuff Girls twerking. I like, and then you have multiple sexual references. I'm like, why the fuck would you do that with the character? They took away him to add something because the character is ambiguously. I'm like, the idea of it was so hysterical how they kind of missed the point, and then they sexualize the characters. It's like, well, yeah, there's a difference between satire and an insult. I think Harley Quinn is satire. It's pure satire. I don't think it's an insult.
I just had a thought occurred, and this is like a extremely random thought, where it's like, it made me think of the Invisible Girl and Daredevil, where it's like technically the Invisible Girl is always invisible to Daredevil, although he can
exactly.
always find her.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Okay. Well, that is our TED talk on is Harley Quinn TV show worth it, and is it worth being on the air? I think it does. I don't. I think Soups is done at this point when it comes to that. So I'd like to thank everyone who listened in on us rant for a bit, and Nightwheel taking his nap. Wake up, motherfucker! Wake up!
What, old
We're over.
man?
Yeah. So he's up now. And so I think we're done for the night. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening into Orc War Chief Reviews, and we'll see you guys next time. As me and Nightwheel decide to talk about wrestling for 4 hours and make everyone else leave.
Oh Lord. Backlash is until next weekend, until after next week's show.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm talking about. All right, all right. We'll talk to you guys later,
All right, bye.
and we'll see you next time on the front. Bye.